being a small YouTuber, even if it didn't make me money like with ad revenue or even with new business, the skills I'm learning in creating and editing videos will make me more money, especially in my career as an educator, right? So I work in education. I work in counselor education specifically. So I work as a counselor and also sometimes as a teacher, right? And also sometimes as a supervisor. Now, right now I'm a student, so I don't have a lot of leverage in what I get paid. I have some, but not much. However, when I finish and I start looking for jobs and negotiating salaries, it didn't really dawn on me that I can consider the skills that aren't typical for what's expected in education that could be used as leverage for higher salaries, right? And let's assume like I'm not looking for like local jobs, right? I can be looking nationwide. Now, that gives me, of course, more leverage to kind of figure out what salaries I'm not looking for within reason, considering like the cost of living. Now, all that to say, the skills I'm learning in video editing and kind of the confidence I'm building in speaking, and of course, like that's of course very crucial, and that's probably more of a typical expectation, especially in education if you're expected to teach. So being able to speak well is important. However, I'm also thinking about how I can use these skills to kind of enhance my practice. So whether in teaching or in counseling, like being able to use videos and editing videos for that purpose. So I have two ideas that just kind of came to mind that pretty much sparked this thought. So for one, I just noticed where I just learned that Outlook allows you to record videos in Outlook to send as an email, which I thought was really, really cool, right? So there's still, of course, ways you could have done that before, where you could have done, like you can create a video like I'm doing now in OBS and then kind of download that and send it as email. But something about it being part of the email connected it for me more where I could use it more readily, right? So I just sent the email to my friend, just a couple of seconds, just basically saying, wow, Outlook has this new feature that's really cool. But I can also explain things more, and it could be more personal than just sending like a short professional email. I could really explain things. And I also, if someone had a question or I want to demonstrate something, I can create a video showing how to do it instead of just kind of like explaining it in a couple sentences or giving this really long explanation for something more complex. I can actually demonstrate it, right? So I think that would be more fun to do and it'd be more engaging and just another thing that can be done. Now, it's not rocket science, but since I've already been doing this for a YouTube channel for so long, it's not going to take that additional effort to make it happen. And I can make it seem more interesting prior to having done anything on YouTube before, right? Because if you look at my older YouTube videos, they're really, really dry. It's not very interesting. And there's like really no use of animations. And like I'm not really using captioning, anything like that. So I've come a long way, right? And probably taking a class would have probably made that progress come more quickly. And even now, I should probably still take a class at some point. But now I'm a full time student doing other things, so we're going to put that on the back burner for right now. The other idea was for counseling. So, like, I don't really hear much use of like using video in counseling other than to record for training purposes. But I was also thinking about when I was making this like quick TikTok, like there was like one of these trends where like where you started to where you are now. So like you can start like if it was like a bodybuilding trend, let's say like the person showed them when they were really skinny before, so how they were, and then like a year passes and they're really buff and muscular, and it's like where they are now, so you can see the transition of that. And I did that version for myself where I was like my younger self was teaching or just showing like something about Star Wars. I was telling about facts about this Star Wars movie. And then I showed the aftermath and like just years later where I'm like teaching about mental health stigma. I was doing a workshop, right? And something about that like it was therapeutic to me. It's like I actually teared up a bit. It was like because I didn't really think about like how far I've come, even though like there was a much younger version of myself before, but I hadn't really thought about like how much time has passed and like how much I've learned and how much I've changed and how much I've grown. And it was just like this quick like 8 second video that just helped me really see how far I've progressed, right? And we can get caught up in our like day to days where we're like we've come so far, but we don't want to think about it. We really think about like oh how much more I have to do, how far I have to go before I can actually achieve my dreams and like have something. When like there was one time in your life where you are now was your dream, right? So it's like part of that is like remembering to be more present and like more celebratory or like to celebrate how far you've come and where you are right now. And that video, that 8 second clip, did something for me. Coming back to counseling, I can see that being a useful tool in a counseling practice or someone who may be struggling with like self-image or just sense of self-worth or just not seeing how much like they've accomplished over time, and then working with them to create this video, one, like if they've never really made a video like that before, helping work them through it, you know, since I've done it before and I have some experience with it, you know, attaching the sound, clipping it, splitting it up, whatever. It doesn't have to be rocket science again. It's just kind of creating something interesting. And then saving that so that they have it and they can remind themselves, like when they're feeling this way, when they're feeling kind of down and about themselves, you can pull up this clip and remember, this is how far you've come. This is what you've accomplished. And of course, we would unpack that further and go into more details, more specifically of what you've done over this time and kind of validate all your experiences and such. But again, now they would have that tool and they could do it over and over again for different categories of their life, right? Whether it's like career or sports or whatever, right? Anyways, coming back to how this kind of helps me personally for my professional career, like one, like it makes it more interesting and I get to do more of the skills that I've acquired for this YouTube channel. And then two, when it comes to careers and like jobs, when I'm looking for them, like I can leverage these skills and I just have to be able to explain that this has value, right? Especially if it's not something typically done with whatever agency or organization I'm working with. I need to be able to explain to them how this can be useful and it's not just some quirky added thing. So it'd be good to be able to get this, you know, get some practice in, of course, for YouTube, but also to do it out in the world and get some feedback from other people, and getting some people like talking about how it's helped them in the past, right? So getting some references that would help my case, right? So I'm kind of playing with the idea, so it kind of motivates me more to kind of keep working on videos, even if they're not so great. Like, an important thing is I'm learning something from it, that I'm enjoying it. It's a creative outlet for me. But it helps also to kind of keep things moving even when things are hard. If like things aren't really coming to fruition the way I want them to, there is value to it. Even if it's not necessarily directly on YouTube, if I'm not getting all the comments and all the likes, it's doing something, right? There's something therapeutic about that. There's something nice about that. Anyways, that's just what I wanted to share with you guys today. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments, or if you have any thoughts about this, I would love to hear from you. Thanks. Bye.